deeper inside. Their eyes fell upon a beast covered in thick red fur, appearing ferocious and unkempt as it crouched low to the ground. Its muscles rippled beneath the matted coat as it hunched over, its breath forming clouds in the cold air. In its grasp was a snow elf, slender and trembling, whose icy blue eyes widened in terror. The creature growled, a low, guttural sound that vibrated through the cavern walls. "Even if you return from death, I will strike you down again and again until you are gone forever," it snarled, each word dripping with malice. Just as it uttered the threat, the creature's grip tightened, veins standing out along its powerful forearms. But before it could act further, an arrow suddenly pierced its hand. The projectile whistled sharply through the air, embedding itself with a sickening thud. The monster screamed in agony, a deafening roar that shook the cavern, and dropped. The snow elf immediately, who stumbled but managed to stay on her feet. Sensing approaching intruders, the crimson-furred snow monster slowly pivoted, its head toward the cavern's entrance. Its cold white eyes gleamed in the dim light, reflecting a sharp, calculating intelligence that belied its bestial form. It sniffed the air, nostrils flaring, as if measuring the strength of its opponents before deciding on its next move. The stench of rotting corpses mingled with the creature's own nauseating smell, assaulting everyone's senses and making their stomachs churn. At the cave's opening, Lin Tian's team stood ready to confront the monster. Each member tensed, fists clenched, muscles coiled like springs. Laya, her hand still raised from releasing the arrow, let out a quiet breath, her eyes narrowing with determination. "Who dares trespass in my territory? How dare you defile my domain?" The creature's icy voice reverberated through the cavern, a chilling resonance that seemed to seep into the very walls, filling the snow elf with paralyzing fear. Her knees trembled, and she took a half step back. But the team's presence gave her a faint glimmer of hope. Lin Tian ignored the enraged red-furred monster. He turned instead toward the snow elf, his expression gentle and calm, like sunlight piercing a stormy sky. "Is this the one you wish removed? If I take care of him, will you come with me?" His voice was soft yet firm, carrying an unspoken promise of safety and understanding. The snow elf nodded vigorously, signaling she would follow Lin Tian, provided he did not mistreat her as the red-furred snow monster had. Relief and caution danced across her delicate features, her trust fragile but emerging. At that instant, the red-furred snow monster caught sight of the snow elf perched upon Laya's shoulder. Its crimson eyes widened in fury, and its roar shook icicles loose from the cavern ceiling. "You pitiful little creature. After all I have done raising you, is this your gratitude? You actually dared to bring others here to confront me?" It lunged forward slightly, its clawed hands scraping deep grooves into the frozen floor as it braced itself for confrontation. As he ranted, the red-furred snow monster briefly froze when his eyes landed on Lin Tian's calm, unwavering gaze. A flicker of hesitation passed across its savage features, though it was quickly replaced by simmering rage. The tension thickened, almost tangible, as if the cavern itself was holding its breath, waiting for the storm to break. "I was wondering who it could possibly be. But it turns out it's you. You worthless creature. Look at you, flaunting your shiny new wings, gleaming under the cold, flickering light of the cave. They looked almost unreal, like a cruel mockery of what they once were. What happened to the old ones? Give them to me, I'll roast them and eat them. I'll savor every fragment as though it were a feast prepared for kings. There's no reason to waste anything. Every piece of you has value, even in death." Ha ha ha. The sound of his laughter cracked against the ice walls, chilling them more than the frozen air ever could. "What's with that look on your face? Do you honestly think those iron wings make you untouchable? Foolish, naive, deluded. I've snapped your wings before. I can do it again without hesitation. And next time, perhaps I won't stop at the wings." "Quiet!" the bird shrieked, his voice like the clash of metal against stone, overflowing with rage, ready to launch himself at the snow monster in a storm of feathers and fury. But Lin Tian stepped forward, his presence steady and calm, halting him just in time. His hand was firm, unyielding, and somehow commanded attention without a word. The snow monster, seeing Lin Tian intervene, couldn't stop laughing. His scornful gaze swept over them like a freezing wind, sharp and merciless. The sound of his laughter echoed and shook the entire cave, causing loose icicles to tremble and fall like brittle shards of glass. Even the snow beneath their feet seemed to quake with fear. "You pitiful bird," he taunted, his voice dripping with mockery, each word cutting deeper than any blade. "Do you truly believe hiring this worthless goblin can challenge me? Ha ha ha." His laughter pierced the air again, hollow and mocking. "As far as I know, I never hurt your brain, though." The words hung in the cold air like a venomous promise. "Worthless." The snow monster roared, his fury erupting like a storm long trapped beneath the surface. He unleashed every magical artifact at his command. Gems glowed, runes flared, and blinding streams of destructive energy shot outward, straight and lethal, slicing the air with a sound that could make even mountains crumble. In an instant, the snow monster's body was shattered. Ice, bone, and magical essence exploded outward in a dazzling, terrifying display of power. Almost his entire upper torso was obliterated, reduced to fragments that scattered across the cave like deadly snowflakes caught in a gale. Even in destruction, there was a terrifying beauty to it, a grim reminder of the monster's strength. Lin Tian and his companions remained vigilant, eyes darting across the cave, bodies tense, ready for anything. They knew that taking down this snow monster would be far from simple. Every second was a test of courage, every movement a potential death sentence. They waited, hearts hammering, knowing the real battle had only just begun. As they had anticipated, the snow around them began to twist and gather. The air grew heavy, charged with a strange, otherworldly energy. Piece by piece, it reconstructed a brand new body for the snow monster, the fragments knitting together as if by a malevolent will of their own. A mocking voice filled the cave, echoing from every corner, every crevice. "Ha ha ha. Impressive. But is that all you've got? You haven't even left a scratch." His laughter shook the cave again, rattling the walls and stirring a cold wind that whipped around them like a vengeful spirit. "Do you finally understand?" he bellowed, the voice booming like thunder cracking through ice. "In this frozen realm, you cannot kill me. I am eternal. Here, I am a god." By now, the snow monster had fully regenerated, towering above them, flawless and unscathed. The sheer presence of his form seemed to warp the air around him, cold and magnificent, a perfect monument to his indestructibility. Every heartbeat of those standing before him felt heavy, weighed down by the overwhelming realization that they were confronting a force beyond reckoning. With a simple wave of his hand, he summoned a raging blizzard. Within moments, the cave was swallowed by a ferocious storm. Snow fell so thickly that nothing could be seen through the whiteout. The snow monster's triumphant laughter echoed through the storm. Its source was impossible to locate amidst the swirling snow. "I am the mightiest lord. Perish in my unending blizzard." As the storm approached, Alice dropped to the ground instinctively. She braced herself, ready to strike. Before the snow monster could even make sense of the chaos, his body was shredded into pieces in an instant. Alice's movements were astonishingly smooth. She had expected him to have formidable defenses. Yet, to her surprise, cutting through him felt as effortless as slicing through a cake. Too easy. Far off, the red-furred snow monster began to reconstruct himself. His expression turned pale with sheer terror. What just happened? What was that overwhelming force? Even with his infinite ability to resurrect, he trembled uncontrollably. This was a fear that reached deep into his very soul. He never wanted to endure that sensation again. At that exact moment, Lin Tian boosted the power of the Apollo heart. The surrounding frost instantly melted, vanishing into the air. In the distance, the snow monster froze, paralyzed with dread. "What is that thing?" A sudden, icy sense of death crawled up its spine. Gabuthine, gifted with invisibility, locked onto his prey. Without hesitation, he struck, precise and deadly. With unerring accuracy, his void dagger shot forward, piercing straight into the heart of the snow monster and leaving a gaping wound. Once more, the snow monster collapsed lifelessly, unable to emit even a cry. Within its mind, panic raged like an unstoppable storm. What are these beings? This is my territory, isn't it? Fear and rage surged together as it unleashed a thunderous roar. This land belongs to me. I am the ruler of these frozen wastes. At that very instant, a predatory bird swooped down with lethal intent. Now it's my turn. I'll shred him to pieces a dozen times over. Though the snow monster could resurrect endlessly, its fragile form made each strike excruciating. The raptor became a whirlwind of motion, skimming over the icy surface with blinding speed. Its razor-edged wings cut through everything in their path, leaving no mercy behind. The wind roared violently, almost forming a mini tornado around them. Under this relentless onslaught, the snow monster fell repeatedly, its cries growing weaker with each strike. "Help! I can't take this any longer. If you're so powerful, face me one-on-one, fools." This time, the snow monster did not rise immediately. The blizzard began to subside, and its body slumped helplessly across the ice. Each death pushed it closer to the brink of mental collapse. "All right, leave this to me," Lin Tian said, his tone steady and unshakable. "Torturing him like this won't be enough to end him." He gestured for everyone else to step back. Then, Lin Tian pushed the Apollo heart beyond its limits, cranking its energy to over 1,000 degrees. In an instant, a blazing inferno erupted, swallowing the snow monster entirely. The surrounding frost hissed and evaporated violently under the searing heat. Thick clouds of steam billowed upward, blanketing the battlefield. The ice didn't even have time to melt, it vanished, as if it had never existed. The snow monster slowly dissolved into a shapeless puddle on the ground, its once formidable form now nothing more than a formless, quivering mass. Jagged fragments of ice and clumps of frost fell away from its body, clattering softly against the frozen floor. As Lin Tian advanced, an unimaginable terror washed over the creature, its mind reeling in the face of absolute inevitability. True death was coming, complete annihilation, melting away into nothingness, leaving no trace of the being that had once roamed the snowy wilderness with such arrogance. "Don't come any closer, I'll die. Stay back, I swear I'll die," the creature shrieked, voice cracking and echoing painfully through the cavern. It scrambled desperately, clawing at the air, trying to reconstruct its body as it crawled forward on hands and knees. But in its weakened state, its speed was pathetic, almost pitiful, as though every motion drew more agony than strength. The snow around it started to darken with the residue of its melting, staining the pristine white with despair. Emerging from the swirling white mist like a harbinger of doom, Lin Tian stepped forward relentlessly, each footfall silent, yet heavy with a weight that seemed to push down on the very air. "You're fascinating," he said, coldly, his voice cutting through the mist like a blade. "If I wasn't here to kill you, why would I even bother coming all this way?" His eyes glinted with an almost clinical detachment, yet the aura surrounding him radiated an oppressive heat that seemed to sear through the icy fog, drawing the creature closer to its inevitable end. Panicked, the snow monster shouted, voice breaking, "You lunatic. It was just a small misunderstanding. There's no need to kill me. I am the Northern Lord. If you do this, the Lord Demon King will be furious." Its form trembled violently, fragments of ice and frost flaking off with every word, as though the act of speaking itself was accelerating its dissolution. Fear laced every syllable. Yet Lin Tian's steps never faltered, never wavered. Lin Tian ignored every frantic word and pressed on, his presence alone radiating a searing heat that made the air shimmer around him. The intense warmth scorched the snow monster, producing a loud, hissing sizzle that echoed like a chorus of whispers in the icy cave. Each movement of his limbs seemed to twist reality itself, warping the mist and snow into a haze that made the monster's cries even more desperate and unrecognizable. Its tortured screams echoed throughout the cave, bouncing off the frozen walls, reverberating like a chorus of agony. "Stop! Stop! I'm melting!" the creature screamed, clawing futilely at the cold stone beneath it. Its entire form began to collapse, losing definition, its once proud shape now a grotesque, oozing smear. Slowly, inexorably, it dripped downward, dissolving entirely, leaving behind nothing but a faint scent of frost and despair. The cavern seemed to exhale, a hollow silence following the end of the monster's tortured existence. And that brings this chapter to a close. The snow monster's terror, its desperate pleas, and its final dissolution leave a haunting void in the cave. But what shocking twists will the next chapter reveal? Will Lin Tian face an even greater threat? Or has his path only just begun? Drop your theories in the comments below. Give this chapter a rating out of 10. And don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe to the channel. We'll see you next time, stay safe, and goodbye for now. The snow creature's form started to warp, its once defined shape sagging into a sloppy, half-melted heap as watery slush dribbled from its chin. The heat pressed down on him, so overwhelming that even the slightest movement was impossible. All he could do was slowly dissolve, bit by bit. Ironically, This was the *1* method that could actually end him. As Lin Tyne stared at the creature's pitiful condition, a strange sense of déjà vu washed over him, curiosity getting the better of him. He crouched down, pinched off a tiny piece of the monster, and casually popped it into his mouth. Whoa, okay, that's surprisingly good. It kinda reminds me of strawberry. Ice cream sweet, smooth, and way better than I expected. After realizing how surprisingly tasty it was, Lin Tyne didn't hesitate. He immediately scooped up several more chunks. The snow monster exploded in a mixture of pain and fury. You savage. You're literally eating my body right in front of me. If you're going to finish me off, then just do it, don't torture me like this. Ding. System notice. Skill unlocked. Snow preservation environment has been successfully added to your abilities. Lin Tyne paused, a mouthful of ice cream halfway to his lips. Wait, I actually get a skill just for eating this. That's unreal. Even with the power to craft a frozen environment, Lin Tyne couldn't withstand the biting cold on his own. So he triggered mutant fusion, ripping off another hefty piece of the snow monster. By transforming into the creature's form, he could drastically improve his tolerance to the freezing temperatures. Oh, you've got a skill 2 regeneration in ice and snow. Lin Tyne smirked. Perfect. Let's see if I can claim that one as well. With that in mind, he dug in, taking several generous bites. The snow monster writhed in excruciating pain, almost collapsing from agony. You monster, you just ate my chest and my ears, he bellowed. Then his voice suddenly broke, filled with sheer panic. Wait, no, don't touch that. That's my little brother. Blah. Lin Tyne gagged uncontrollably, hurling the piece clinging to his hand as far away as he could. Ugh, I almost ate that. Nope. That's it. I'm done. Enough is enough. Ah, what are you doing? The snow monster screamed in despair. You just threw my happiness onto the ground, and now it's vanishing. You've destroyed my love. His cries tore through the air like shredded fabric, as the last remnants of his melting body faded away completely. Even as he faded completely into nothingness, a final hiss of hatred escaped him. You wretch. Lord Demon Sovereign will never forgive you. I'll be waiting for you in the afterlife. Hearing those words, and just as the snow monster was about to disappear completely, Lin Tyne narrowed his eyes and switched off the Apollo heart. His tone turned frigid. I've reconsidered. Letting you die so easily won't do. I should end you myself, body and soul. Huh? The snow monster froze in confusion, completely unsure of what Lin Tyne meant. But his instincts screamed louder than any explanation. In an instant, he spun around and took off at full speed. Every fiber of his being told him the same thing. If he stayed even a moment longer, he was as good as dead. As he scrambled away, frantically trying to rebuild his half-melted body while sprinting toward the cave's exit, the snow monster howled in rage. You wretch! You worthless piece of trash! I swear I'll make you regret ever doing this to me. Behind them, the chasing group closed in at last, their presence impossible to ignore. The raptor narrowed his eyes in suspicion. He ran off? Should I go after him? Lin Tyne shook his head. No need. He'll come crawling back on his own. Then he added, almost casually, as for that water monster lord, I'll let him go too. His voice was calm, but the eerie coldness beneath his words was enough to make everyone who heard him feel their spine turn to ice. Killing them had never been Lin Tyne's intention. Besides, doing so would have been a direct violation of the strict laws of the Great Tomb of Nazarick. Far below the surface, hidden within the labyrinthine halls of the Great Tomb of Nazarick, the water monster lord and the snow monster wept uncontrollably, their tears cascading like waterfalls. Great demon lord, the snow monster sobbed, voice trembling with anguish. I am tormented beyond measure. The goblins have slaughtered countless members of my tribe, devouring them without mercy. They captured many of our females and forced them into vile servitude, turning them into tools for breeding. I was living peacefully in the northern snowfields when they descended upon us, ruthless and relentless. That goblin Lin Tyne, he even devoured me, piece by piece. And because of him, I lost my beloved. I have no words strong enough to express my pain. Atop the highest step, as always, sat Albedo, and beside her loomed the master of Nazarik's great tomb, the skeleton king, Veronica, the very embodiment of ultimate darkness. The shadowed sanctuary around them seemed alive with malice. Darkness clung to every wall, and the air felt heavy and suffocating, as if the shadows themselves carried weight. Every nook whispered ominous secrets of power and fear, making even the most courageous hesitate before venturing inside. As the two lords voiced their grievances, not a single other demon stirred or even acknowledged their cries, as if their suffering didn't exist. Only Albedo broke the silence, shooting a sharp, sidelong glance at the water monster, Lord, and the snow monster. "Even if those goblins are formidable," she said, her tone laced with scorn, "do you truly feel no shame, being defeated so miserably?" Before the two lords could even respond, the skeleton king Veronica's voice cut through the tension, hoarse, commanding, and calm all at once. "I see," she murmured. "Albedo, bring them to the goblin tribe. As for what comes next, I trust you know exactly what must be done, even without my instructions." With those words, darkness enveloped her completely, swallowing her form until she vanished from sight, leaving only an unsettling emptiness behind. The water monster and the snow monster felt a surge of excitement rush through them. It was clear Albedo would carry out their revenge. Overcome with gratitude and hope, they sank to their knees. "Thank you, great demon lord," they murmured in unison, their voices filled with awe and relief. Moments later, at the heart of the goblin tribe's territory, a towering column of black-purple light erupted into the sky. It was the unmistakable sign that someone from Nazarik's great tomb had activated the teleportation system and arrived on the scene. At that moment, Lin Tian was in the middle of his usual work when he suddenly paused, eyes narrowing as he noticed the beam of light piercing the sky. Gobu quickly explained that while Lin Tian had been away, emissaries from Nazarik had shown up, installed a teleportation system, and she hadn't been able to stop them. Lin Tian addressed his group calmly. "Don't stress over it. Just keep doing what you're doing, I'll handle this." High above, Albedo's silhouette emerged from the heavens, descending slowly until she hovered roughly 5 meters above the ground. Her aura radiated authority, so intense it pressed on everyone present. Moments later, the water monster lord and the snow monster dropped from the sky as well, shaking with fear, but still trying their hardest to appear intimidating. Watching them, Lin Tian let out a mocking laugh. "I was expecting the Bone Queen herself. Didn't think it'd just be you two." Despite being battered and covered in wounds, the two monsters refused to drop their fierce expressions. After all, they had backing this time. "You brat," the water monster lord snarled, hatred dripping from every word. "Today's the day you die. I'll make sure you learn exactly what it feels like to be burned alive." Blood smeared across his mouth, but in his fury and excitement, he barely registered the pain anymore. Albedo finally made her appearance. Yet not once did her gaze settle on Lin Tian. Instead, her eyes roamed the surroundings with piercing scrutiny, a subtle curl of disdain tugging at her mouth. "Ugh, this place is utterly vile," she whispered softly. "A breeding facility. Huh? I never would have guessed it could spawn so many goblins." Even someone like her, a haughty succubus demon, felt a tremor of unease. Never in all the annals she knew had there been any record of a goblin tribe of such immense magnitude. "You really have a remarkable talent for leading a tribe. It's no surprise that conquering a human city came to you with such ease. I'm beginning to recognize that, in some measure, you truly merit the title of Great Chieftain. It's simply that—" Albedo abruptly stopped speaking in the middle of her words. Her eyes grew wide with astonishment as they shifted to the space behind Lin Tian. There stood Alice, donned in ebony armor, emerging from within the tent. A sudden recollection struck Albedo. Could that be the Sword Saint Alice? She had laid eyes on Alice a single time before. And yet, now that she saw her again, why did an unsettling feeling of threat creep over her? The aura of menace surrounding Alice had intensified manifold. Albedo found herself questioning what had befallen her. By this moment, Alice had silently approached from behind Lin Tian, a wave of dark, fearsome energy radiating from her very being. Alice fixed her gaze on Lin Tian and spoke with measured calm. "My lord emissary, shall I take care of these unruly pests for you?" Lin Tian responded with composed serenity. "There's no need. Return to the tent and take some rest." Upon hearing this dialogue, Albedo's face tightened further. She couldn't comprehend why a sword saint would speak to a creature as "my lord emissary" and submit to its orders without hesitation. What on earth kind of monster was this Lin Tian? Meanwhile, the remaining goblins were completely entranced by Albedo's irresistible charm. Their eyes burned a vivid crimson as they stared at her with obsessive, almost feral desire, drooling without control. Watching this unfold, Lin Tian's patience frayed as he spoke sharply. "Why are you even here? Did Nazarek send you just to stand around and do nothing?" Albedo's eyes lingered on him, her curiosity deepening with every glance. "Why? Why do you feel so unlike the others? You're a goblin, yet you meet me with such unwavering calm." And with that, our chapter comes to an end. What twists await in the next installment? Share your theories in the comments. Rate this chapter out of 10. And don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. We'll see you next time. Take care, and goodbye for now.